Please note, this movie has taken content from the Zeitgeist film series, Interreflections, and the book, The Zeitgeist Movement Defined, Realizing a New Train of Thought, and that content has been run through ChatGPT and Google Gemini using various prompts. It also contains some original prompts written by me. Zeitgeist music has also been taken and influenced by AIVA.ai. The so-called official Zeitgeist movement and Peter Joseph's company, Gentle Machine Productions, do not own the truth they have presented. The word official is actually strongly related to the word authority, yet truth should be the authority, not any individual or group. To quote the first Zeitgeist film, "They must find it difficult, those who have taken authority as the truth, rather than truth as the authority." So this project asks two questions: can AI make a new Zeitgeist film? And is it possible to create a documentary that belongs to regular people who support the unofficial Zeitgeist movement that is not under any copyright? Copyright in reality is a form of plagiarism. Someone is plagiarizing reality when something is put under copyright. Our reality has already allowed any combination a human can come up with. So there is no such thing as something original, as everything is interconnected. There are only discoveries, there's no such thing as an invention. Reality is at odds with the basis of copyright, as humans learn by copying, machines work by copying, and nature works by copying. Without copying, nature would not exist. Copyright presents a hierarchical view of reality, just like religion. Yet reality is more like an open source project, where everyone learns together. Copyright is a form of oppression against the poor who wish to have free access to knowledge. The book 1984 by George Orwell explains the danger of intellectual property, where the character Winston Smith is tortured in the ministry of love, until he accepts the false idea that 2 plus 2 makes 5, since the Ingsoc party owns 2 plus 2 makes 4. Those who burn books will in the end burn people. So enjoy. System Shift, Redesigning Societal Values.
In our current societal structure driven by trade and profit, there exists an unspoken addiction to monetary gain that disrupts the prospect of fair and equal exchanges. The prevailing global mindset seems steeped in an illusion, valuing superficiality over intellect, prioritizing competition and property ownership over sharing and communal harmony. Instead of embracing sustainable practices and preservation, we endorse wasteful consumption, favoring cost efficiency over technical efficiency. The prevailing energy sources are often unsustainable and polluting, disregarding cleaner, more abundant alternatives. Moreover, the prevalence of conflict and the profiteering from warfare have overshadowed the potential for peaceful collaboration that fosters genuine progress. It's an unfortunate reality we find ourselves in, and perhaps it's time to challenge this fraudulent social paradigm that undermines our collective well-being. In the realm of contemporary psychology, a term often evoked is maladjusted, resonating with frequencies that underscore the pursuit of an idealized state of adjustment. This ubiquitous word, sought after for its promise of averting psychological complexities, propels the desire for a well-adjusted life, steering clear of neurotic and schizophrenic tendencies. Yet, within this narrative of conformity, I find myself compelled to assert that there exist facets of our society and world to which I proudly proclaim my maladjustment. I invite all individuals of goodwill to share in this maladjustment, fostering an unyielding stance until the inherent injustices and deficiencies of our societies are rectified, urging for the realization of a greater good that transcends the confines of societal norms. The essence of genuine discovery and collective progress lies in the freedom to express thoughts openly. In the marketplace of ideas, the freedom to speak and think openly serves as a sieve, letting the kernels of wisdom rise while allowing the weightless husks of flawed concepts to fall by the wayside. Only through this unbridled liberty to vocalize beliefs and challenge perspectives can the truth, like a beacon in the dark, emerge from the tumult of dialogue and dissent. Without this liberty, the path to enlightenment remains obscured, and the voyage toward truth becomes a labyrinth without an exit.
Each time a word becomes prohibited, you remove a stone from the democratic foundation. Society demonstrates its impotence in the face of a concrete problem by removing words from the language. The book burners have nothing on modern society. The human qualities can be expressed in one word: hypocrisy. We elevate those who say right but mean wrong, and mock those who say wrong but mean right.
Throughout history, the backdrop of human survival was dominated by the primal forces of nature, a ceaseless battle against the elements and the wild unknown. Yet, as time charted its course, a remarkable transformation took shape. The evolution of civilization and technology conquered many of nature's adversities, granting humanity dominion over its immediate environment. However, an unforeseen shift arose, where once nature posed the gravest threat, the specter of human-created cultures now casts its shadow. The peril of today isn't merely the unrelenting force of nature, but the tangled complexities of our own societal constructs, echoing across the globe. The survival of our species is no longer besieged by the fury of the natural world, but entangled within the intricacies of how we coexist, how we treat one another, and the cultures we've nurtured. The true test of survival has become what we, as a species, are doing to each other within the constructs of our own creation. In the midst of societal decline, art serves as a mirror, reflecting the cracks and decay woven into the fabric of existence. Truthful art, in its raw and unfiltered form, doesn't shy away from showcasing the stark realities of a faltering society. It doesn't sugarcoat or hide the deterioration. Instead, it bravely exposes the cracks, the imperfections, and the shadows that haunt the collective conscience. Yet, its responsibility transcends mere reflection. Truthful art serves as a catalyst for change. It's not content to passively depict the world's fluctuations. Rather, it aspires to be an agent of transformation, igniting conversations, challenging perceptions, and nudging society toward the path of evolution and renewal. Art's solemn duty is not only to depict the change, but to actively participate in the journey of shaping a better tomorrow.
This company knew absolutely that they had a problem with the product. They knew that it was infected with AIDS. They dumped it because they wanted to turn this disaster into a profit.
Do something for yourself. Join the Army Reserve.
The Adelaide Casino. Somewhere over the rainbow is right here, and everybody's welcome to a piece of it.
Find yourself in church this Sunday.
Peter Popoff wants you to receive the miracle spring water to release prosperity in your life.
The only question that matters is, are you hot?
Nearly $33 trillion. That's what the U.S. national debt was as of early September 2023.
Call me now. I'm waiting for you. Call 0055.
It reckons there's about $270 billion worth of Australian home loans that are at risk of defaulting or being classified as severely stressed.
More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Ask the obliging Bank of America for a jar of soothing instant money, M-O-N-E-Y, in the form of a convenient personal loan.
What can we do to protect ourselves from robot automation? There are claims that America is sponsoring terror attacks in Iran. The allegations come from a militant group's leader who was captured in Iran on Tuesday. He says he met CIA agents in Pakistan who promised to supply arms to his organization. That's a claim that Washington denies.
When thinking about society and mental health, there's a curious dynamic at play. It's often perceived as positive when individuals conform or adapt well to societal norms. However, from a different perspective, this conformity might not always align with genuine mental well-being. There seems to be an inherent conflict between fitting into a society's norms and what might be truly healthy for an individual's mental state. It's like a delicate balance where being well-adjusted to societal standards doesn't necessarily equate to being mentally healthy in a society that might not foster genuine well-being for its individuals. The human pursuit of acquisition, driven by the relentless desire for more possessions and material wealth, finds a poignant analogy in the game of Monopoly. The game encapsulates the essence of this pursuit, the unending quest for accumulation, the ruthless tactics employed to gain an upper hand, and the eventual realization that all these acquisitions are ephemeral, destined to return to the box. When you accumulate properties and wealth in the game Monopoly, there is a profound lesson that transcends the confines of a mere board game. Ultimately, everything acquired in the game, no matter how much one amasses, returns to a metaphorical box. There is a futility of an existence solely defined by the acquisition of material possessions. The game, a microcosm of human existence, reflects the societal drive toward accumulation, often leading to a cycle of deception, inequality, and monopoly. In this pursuit, individuals are ensnared in a never-ending quest for more wealth, more properties, and more acquisitions, yet these acquisitions fail to fulfill genuine human needs. The accumulation of material possessions becomes a myopic measure of success, and the societal narrative of wealth acquisition overshadows deeper human connections and true fulfillment. The ruthless immersion into the game Monopoly, mirroring the societal conditioning to relentlessly pursue wealth, unveils a stark reality. The allure of acquisition promises fulfillment, but as possessions accumulate, the ephemeral nature of materialism becomes apparent. The thrill dissipates, leaving an unsettling void that no amount of acquisitions can satiate. It prompts a crucial question, one that resonates beyond the game board: what truly matters? Beyond the ephemeral thrill of acquisition lies the quest for fulfillment rooted in genuine human connections, meaningful experiences, and a sense of purpose. The pursuit of wealth and possessions, while integral to survival, cannot be the sole measure of a fulfilling existence. Understanding that the acquisition game leads to a finite end prompts reflection on the deeper aspects that enrich the human experience: compassion, empathy, relationships, and contributions to the greater good. In essence, the pursuit of acquisitions may grant temporary satisfaction, but the enduring fulfillment lies in recognizing the transient nature of materialism and seeking meaning beyond the confines of possessions. It's in acknowledging what truly matters, our connections, our values, our contributions, that the pursuit of a fulfilling life finds its purpose.
Watch the crazy shit people do for money. Money Talks. What's your price? Australia's #1 show is back. Seems like your wife got a new job, and her customers pay very well.
You work away your life, and what does it get you?
Smiles and faces?
No. You get cash. Cash that can't buy back what the job takes. Not if you rode every seahorse in the world.
Dad, why do I have to go to school?
So you can get a job.
But why do I need a job?
So you can earn money.
Continue ahead. But why do I need money?
To buy the stuff that TV makes us want.
But why do I need to buy stuff?
Because if you didn't buy stuff, everyone would be out of a job and no one would have any money.
Wait, so I have to work for the rest of my life to pay for stuff that I don't want just so everyone else can suffer the same horrible fate as me?
Exactly.
You just live your life without thinking, don't you?
Jacques Fresco's journey from a young rebel refusing to conform to societal norms to a visionary challenging the fundamental structures of society encapsulates a profound narrative of critical thinking, social observation, and a fervent call for change. His defiance of the status quo, rooted in a refusal to blindly conform, laid the groundwork for a lifelong exploration into the flaws inherent in societal constructs. Fresco's refusal to pledge allegiance to the flag, emblematic of his early skepticism, reflected a refusal to accept societal norms without critical examination. His dissent was not merely an act of rebellion but a testament to his commitment to truth, refusing to subscribe to beliefs without evidence. Retreating into a self-made laboratory, Fresco embarked on a journey of self-education, delving into the realms of science and nature. His realization that the universe adheres to laws governed by science and the recognition that human society is subject to these laws laid the foundation for his later critiques of societal structures. The turbulent times of the Great Depression and the devastation of World War II served as catalysts for Fresco's awakening. Witnessing the paradox of widespread suffering amid abundant resources and the squandering of human potential in the throes of war fueled his discontent with the established economic and social paradigms. Fresco's keen observations highlighted the absurdity of a system that allowed for such widespread deprivation while resources remained abundant. His astute calculation that the resources and efforts expended in war could have sufficed to meet global human needs showcased the stark inefficiency and irrationality of societal priorities. As he aged, his convictions remained unwavering. His disquietude stemmed from the perpetual waste of finite resources in pursuit of profit, the superficiality of materialistic values, and the grip of monetary powers over supposedly democratic structures. His unwavering call for change, echoing from the past to the present, is a stark reminder of the urgency to reassess and reconstruct societal systems. Fresco's journey embodies a relentless pursuit of truth, a fierce defiance of unjust norms, and a call for a paradigm shift towards a society guided by reason, empathy, and sustainability. His legacy urges us to challenge the entrenched systems that perpetuate inequality, exploitation, and environmental degradation. It prompts a critical evaluation of our societal values and priorities, advocating for a shift from profit-driven economies to systems that prioritize human well-being and the preservation of our planet. In essence, Fresco's impassioned plea resonates through the ages, a resounding call to discard obsolete systems and forge a new path toward a more equitable, sustainable, and humane future. His unwavering conviction that this shit's got to go echoes as a rallying cry for transformative change, inspiring us to confront the shortcomings of our current structures and work toward a world that aligns with the principles of justice, compassion, and ecological stewardship. In the vast tapestry of history, pivotal transformations have often been catalyzed by the resolute determination of a dedicated few. The collective force of a small group of individuals, driven by unwavering commitment and thoughtful action, has proven to be a catalyst for monumental change. Throughout time, these passionate advocates have ignited revolutions, challenged norms, and reshaped the trajectory of societies. Their profound impact echoes the belief that authentic change arises not solely from sheer numbers, but from the unwavering dedication and purposeful endeavors of a committed few, standing as a testament to the potential of human determination and unity. Part 1. The Human Being. Beyond nature versus nurture, embracing complexity in human behavior. The age-old dichotomy between nature and nurture, deeply embedded in scientific discourse, oversimplifies the intricate influences shaping human existence. This stark contrast between genetics as the deterministic root of all causality and the perspective of humans as solely social organisms devoid of biological influence perpetuates a false dichotomy. At its core, this polarized view reduces complex influences, from how a cell manages an energy crisis to shaping an individual's personality, to a simplistic binary framework. However, the reality is far more intricate and interconnected. Understanding biology necessitates acknowledging the profound interplay between genetics and the environment. It's evident that biology cannot be comprehended in isolation from its environmental context, challenging the reductionist views that isolate genetics or societal influences as exclusive determinants of human traits and behavior. The prevailing debate between nature and nurture fails to encapsulate the complexity of human existence, reflecting an oversimplified and flawed perspective. The idea that life is solely driven by DNA, dismissing environmental influences, clashes with the notion that humans are devoid of biological determinism and solely shaped by societal factors. Instead, what emerges is the inextricable link between biology and environment. This interconnectedness underscores the impossibility of isolating biology from its environmental context. Human biology doesn't exist in a vacuum, it's shaped and influenced by myriad environmental factors, underscoring the inadequacy of rigidly subscribing to either deterministic genetic perspectives or solely social influences in understanding the complexity of human biology and behavior. The misconception that human behavior is solely determined by genetics perpetuates a dangerously deterministic view of life, undermining the complexity and fluidity of human nature. This notion reduces behavior to a fixed and unchangeable outcome, anchored in genetic predispositions. It leads to a belief that societal efforts to improve or alter behavior are futile, as these traits are perceived as predestined and impervious to change. However, this deterministic perspective disregards the intricate interplay between genetics and environment, overlooking the profound impact that social, cultural, and environmental factors have on shaping human behavior. This erroneous belief in the genetic determinism of behavior not only oversimplifies the complexity of human nature, but also poses significant dangers by dissuading efforts to address and improve societal issues. It fosters a fatalistic mindset that undermines the potential for societal progress and change, dismissing the influence and adaptability of individuals within their social and environmental contexts. Embracing a more nuanced understanding that acknowledges the multifaceted influences on behavior is crucial in fostering a society that prioritizes meaningful interventions and societal improvements. The prevailing belief that conditions such as ADHD, schizophrenia, and various complex diseases are genetically predetermined is a misconception that disregards the intricate nature of genetic influence on health. Contrary to common perception, most diseases are not genetically determined but rather influenced by a complex interplay of genetic predispositions and environmental factors. While certain conditions may have a genetic component that increases susceptibility, this predisposition doesn't equate to an inevitable outcome. Diseases like heart conditions, cancers, autoimmune disorders, and mental health issues showcase this complexity, where genetic predispositions exist but do not serve as absolute determinants of illness. For instance, in breast cancer, only a small fraction of women diagnosed carry the specific breast cancer genes, illustrating that the majority of cases do not have a direct genetic cause. The search for genetic origins of diseases overlooks the nuanced nature of health conditions, leading to misconceptions about genetic determinism. Diseases that are commonly attributed to genetic programming often exhibit multifaceted causative factors beyond genetics. This misconception undermines the crucial role played by environmental influences, lifestyle choices, and other external factors in the development of various health conditions. Understanding that genetics merely contribute to a predisposition rather than solely dictate disease occurrence is pivotal in shaping approaches to healthcare and highlighting the significance of holistic interventions that consider both genetic susceptibility and environmental influences. The complexity of genetic influence on health and behavior. The notion that human behavior is solely dictated by genetic predispositions overlooks the intricate interplay between genes and environmental influences. Genes don't serve as rigid blueprints that unequivocally determine behavior. Rather, they offer a spectrum of responses to environmental stimuli. Emerging research suggests that early childhood experiences and the nature of child rearing can significantly impact gene expression, effectively activating or deactivating certain genes. These influences contribute to molding an individual's developmental trajectory, aligning their responses with the demands of their environment. In essence, genes don't predestine behavior, but rather offer varying responses to the environment, showcasing the plasticity and adaptability of human nature in response to external factors. The dynamic relationship between genes and the environment challenges the simplistic view that genes solely dictate behavior. Instead, genes provide individuals with different avenues for navigating and responding to their surroundings. Environmental cues and experiences can influence the expression of genes, effectively modifying an individual's developmental path. This realization underscores the complex interplay between genetic predispositions and environmental factors, emphasizing the adaptability and responsiveness of human behavior to the demands of the world in which individuals find themselves. Ultimately, this understanding highlights the multifaceted nature of human behavior, debunking the notion that behavior is rigidly predetermined by genetics and underscoring the role of environment in shaping human responses and actions. The impact of childhood abuse on the brain's genetic makeup highlights the significant role of environmental experiences in shaping genetic expression. A study conducted on suicide victims in Montreal revealed a profound correlation between childhood abuse and genetic alterations within the brain. Autopsies showed distinct genetic changes present in the brains of young adults who had suffered childhood abuse, changes absent in individuals who had not experienced such trauma. This phenomenon illustrates an epigenetic effect, wherein environmental factors, in this case, childhood abuse, trigger alterations in genetic expression. These changes at the genetic level underscore the profound influence of environmental experiences in activating or deactivating specific genes, emphasizing the intricate interplay between external factors and genetic responses within the brain. The study's findings illuminate the dynamic relationship between environmental influences and genetic expression within the brain. The term epigenetic denotes alterations occurring atop the genetic structure, showcasing how environmental factors, such as childhood abuse, can leave a lasting imprint on genetic functioning. The genetic changes observed in individuals who endured childhood abuse exemplify the significant impact of environmental experiences on gene activation or deactivation. This pivotal revelation highlights the capacity of external influences to modify genetic expression within the brain, shedding light on the intricate mechanisms through which environmental factors mold and influence brain function and development. The complex interplay of genes and environment in shaping behavior, beyond biological determinism. The Dunedin study conducted in New Zealand, tracing the lives of several thousand individuals from birth into their 20s, unveiled a nuanced relationship between genetic predisposition and violent behavior. Within this research, scientists identified a genetic mutation associated with a propensity toward violence. However, a critical revelation emerged: this abnormal gene alone did not heighten the likelihood of violent tendencies in individuals. Surprisingly, those carrying this genetic anomaly displayed a lower rate of violence compared to individuals with normal genes when not subjected to severe child abuse. This finding highlights that the presence of the abnormal gene did not independently predispose individuals to violence. Rather, the crucial determinant appeared to be the interaction between this genetic factor and experiences of severe childhood abuse. The Dunedin study's revelations underscore the intricate interplay between genetic predisposition and environmental factors, particularly childhood experiences of abuse, in shaping behaviors like violence. It elucidates that while certain genetic mutations may have a relationship with propensities for certain behaviors, the manifestation of these tendencies is contingent upon environmental interactions. The study challenges the oversimplified notion that genes unilaterally dictate behavior, emphasizing instead the pivotal role of environmental factors, especially childhood experiences, in influencing and modulating the expression of genetic predispositions toward violent behavior. Research involving gene manipulation in mice showcases the limitations of perceiving genes as the sole determinants of complex traits such as intelligence. By knocking out a specific gene related to learning and memory in mice, scientists observed a decline in the mice's ability to learn. This finding appeared to suggest a genetic basis for intelligence. However, what often goes unacknowledged is the pivotal role of the environment in influencing genetic outcomes. Subsequent experimentation revealed that genetically impaired mice raised in enriched, stimulating environments exhibited a remarkable reversal of their learning deficit. This critical observation underscores the profound impact of environmental factors in mitigating or even nullifying the effects of genetic impairment, challenging the conventional perception of genes as the exclusive drivers of behavior or traits. The implications of this study extend beyond the simplistic attribution of behaviors solely to genetics. It highlights the intricate interplay between genes and the environment, emphasizing that genetic contributions interact with environmental stimuli in shaping an organism's responses. This dynamic interaction underscores that genes might influence an organism's predisposition or readiness to confront specific environmental challenges rather than determining a fixed outcome. The study underscores the inadequacy of adhering to the outdated notion that behaviors or traits are exclusively governed by genetics, cautioning against the potential dangers of perpetuating such misconceptions, which echo historical contexts like eugenics and oversimplify the complexities of genetic and environmental interactions. Attributing behaviors solely to biology and genetics, while neglecting the influential role of social environments, presents significant dangers in understanding and addressing societal issues. This biological hypothesis, if accepted uncritically, poses considerable risks, fostering a perspective that absolves the responsibility of addressing social conditions that contribute to problematic behaviors. Such a viewpoint might lead to fatalistic conclusions, where individuals are seen as predetermined to exhibit violent tendencies due to their biological disposition. Consequently, this stance could rationalize punitive measures as the sole recourse, disregarding the imperative of altering social environments and the underlying conditions that foster violence. Embracing this perspective potentially overlooks the essentiality of addressing societal factors and dismissing the transformative potential of creating supportive, nurturing environments that mitigate violent predispositions. Relying solely on biological explanations for behaviors, while disregarding the influence of social contexts, can have detrimental consequences in shaping societal responses to problematic behaviors. If the focus remains fixed on genetic predispositions to violence without acknowledging the impact of social environments, it could inadvertently reinforce a mindset that favors punitive measures over proactive social interventions. This reductionist view might lead to fatalistic attitudes, negating the importance of altering societal conditions that contribute to violent behaviors. Neglecting the role of social preconditions in fostering violence could impede efforts aimed at societal reform, ultimately hindering the creation of nurturing, supportive environments that offer alternatives to punitive measures and pave the way for meaningful societal change. The legal and prison systems are often seen as the primary means of addressing crime and antisocial behavior in society. However, these systems often fail to address the root causes of such behavior, leading to a cycle of incarceration and recidivism. Societal efforts often focus on punishments like prisons and police, which are costly. However, addressing poverty, a root cause of crime, is not given enough attention or financial resources. Poverty is a pervasive issue that affects millions of individuals and families worldwide. It is characterized by a lack of access to basic necessities such as adequate housing, food, healthcare, and education. Living in poverty often leads to limited opportunities, social isolation, and exposure to criminogenic environments. Research has consistently shown a strong correlation between poverty and crime, as individuals struggling to meet their basic needs may resort to illegal activities as a means of survival or to escape their circumstances. To effectively address crime, it is crucial to recognize the role of poverty and other socioeconomic factors in shaping behavior. Society needs proactive solutions beyond punishment, investing in poverty alleviation, education, healthcare, and community development to address crime's root causes. Laws, often reactive, attempt to solve specific issues, but may miss broader implications or create unintended consequences due to their narrow focus and inability to address complex social problems comprehensively. The genetic fallacy, evading systemic accountability. The tendency to attribute human flaws or societal issues solely to genetics provides a convenient escape from acknowledging the deeper-rooted societal, economic, and historical factors that contribute to problematic behaviors or systemic challenges. This oversimplification often manifests as a belief that any individual dissatisfaction or antisocial conduct stems from inherent genetic flaws rather than examining the broader societal structures. The allure of the genetic argument lies in its capacity to absolve established systems, particularly capitalism, from culpability by redirecting focus onto individual genetic predispositions. This redirection allows the prevailing social, economic, and political systems to persist unchallenged, fostering an environment where systemic flaws evade scrutiny under the guise of inherent individual deficiencies. Contrasting the fallibility ascribed to human beings, the market or capitalism is often idealized as a flawless social system, shielded from critical assessment. The allure of portraying capitalism as an infallible mechanism lies in its capacity to evade scrutiny and sustain its dominant position in societal discourse. This portrayal perpetuates the belief that any dissatisfaction or discord within society is due to individual deficiencies, diverting attention away from the structural inadequacies inherent in the economic and social systems. Consequently, the systemic issues embedded within capitalism remain obscured, allowing the prevailing system to persist unchallenged and absolved from accountability for perpetuating societal challenges. The paradox of addiction, societal reverence for destructive behaviors. Addiction, in a broader sense, encompasses any behavior marked by an intense craving, temporary relief, and long-term adverse effects, coupled with a loss of control over the behavior. While conventional notions of addiction often revolve around substances like drugs, the spectrum extends far beyond. Workaholism, compulsive shopping, gambling, excessive internet use, or immersion in video games are among the myriad behavioral addictions prevalent in society. Beyond these, there's the often overlooked addiction to power or acquisition, observed in individuals or corporations perpetually seeking more, irrespective of the detrimental consequences. Strikingly, these socially impactful addictions, causing immense harm, often receive societal endorsement and are regarded as respectable pursuits, despite their catastrophic repercussions. However, the societal perception of addiction and what is deemed respectable is paradoxical. Behaviors leading to widespread social harm, such as the addiction to power, wealth, or profit, often evade significant censure. Executives steering tobacco corporations, thriving on profit despite the fatal consequences of tobacco smoke-related illnesses claiming millions of lives annually, exemplify this dichotomy. Their addiction to profit remains untouched by legal or social consequences, their actions deemed respectable within the corporate landscape. This paradoxical acceptance of destructive addictions, glorifying pursuits that lead to societal harm, highlights a disconcerting reality, where the greater the detriment caused by an addiction, the more socially revered and shielded it tends to be, creating a baffling double standard within society's perception of addiction. Unveiling the multifaceted nature of addiction, beyond inherent qualities and towards understanding susceptibility. There is no war on drugs, because you can't have a war on inanimate objects. there is only a war on drug addicts. Which means we are warring on the most abused and vulnerable segments of our society. The prevailing myth surrounding addiction often links the addictive nature solely to substances or specific behaviors. This misconception fuels the approach of the war on drugs, operating under the premise that by cutting off the source of drugs, addiction can be eradicated. However, a broader understanding of addiction defies this notion, indicating that no substance or behavior, in isolation, possesses inherent addictiveness. For instance, not everyone who engages in shopping becomes a shopaholic, and not every individual consuming alcohol will develop alcoholism. Instead, the crux lies in the vulnerability or susceptibility of an individual to the potentially addictive substance or behavior. The fusion of a predisposed individual with a substance or behavior with addictive potential is what facilitates the emergence of addiction, challenging the simplistic view that substances or behaviors themselves are inherently addictive. Therefore, the primary consideration in comprehending addiction rests not on the inherent addictive qualities of substances or behaviors, but on understanding the individual susceptibility factors that pave the way for addiction to take root. It's this intersection between an individual's susceptibility and the potential addictiveness of a substance or behavior that fosters the development of addiction. Addressing addiction comprehensively involves acknowledging the intricate interplay between an individual's predisposition and the environmental elements contributing to addictive behaviors, reframing the narrative from a focus solely on substances to understanding the complex dynamics involved in addiction formation. Understanding the susceptibility to addiction involves delving into the impact of life experiences on an individual's predisposition, contrary to the outdated belief in a solely genetic basis for addiction. Scientifically, the notion that addictions stem primarily from genetic causes lacks credibility. Instead, it's the culmination of life experiences that render individuals susceptible to addictive tendencies. These experiences not only mold an individual's personality and psychological needs, but also intricately shape the very structure of their brains. Remarkably, this process of susceptibility doesn't commence post-birth, but begins during fetal development in utero, emphasizing the profound impact of early environmental factors on an individual's vulnerability to addiction. Studies have underscored the profound effect of prenatal experiences on the predisposition toward addictive traits in individuals. The developmental trajectory isn't solely determined by genetic factors, but is markedly influenced by the environmental factors, particularly the psychological and social milieu in which an individual is nurtured. It's evident that the biology of human beings isn't isolated from their experiences. Rather, it's substantially molded and influenced by the life experiences encountered during the crucial stages of prenatal development, emphasizing the critical role of early environmental influences in shaping susceptibility to addiction. Stress breeds addiction, addiction fuels consumption, and consumption drives profits in a market-driven society. It's a vicious cycle perpetuated by profit-seeking corporations at the expense of individual well-being and societal harmony. To break free, we must shift towards a paradigm that values holistic well-being over profit margins. Before birth and beyond, the enduring impact of prenatal experiences on human development. The impact of an environment on an unborn child begins long before their birth. As early as fetal development, the environment, predominantly influenced by the mother's physiological state, significantly shapes the unborn child's biological programming. The conditions experienced during pregnancy, including hormonal levels and nutrient availability in the maternal circulation, play a pivotal role in influencing the fetus's developmental trajectory. A poignant illustration of this is witnessed in the Dutch hunger winter of 1944, where the scarcity of food due to Nazi occupation led to starvation among many. Fetal exposure to this starvation during the second or third trimester resulted in a profound lesson for the body, prompting a perpetual adaptation in how it handles nutrients. Those fetuses, taught by starvation, tend to develop a highly conservative approach to storing sugar and fat, a characteristic that persists long after birth. Decades later, individuals who experience these conditions in utero are more prone to health issues such as high blood pressure, obesity, or metabolic syndrome, highlighting how the environment in utero can significantly impact an individual's health trajectory in unexpected ways. Exposing pregnant animals to stress in a laboratory setting has revealed startling outcomes in their offspring's behavior. Studies show that stressed pregnant women have offspring with a heightened inclination toward using substances like cocaine and alcohol once they reach adulthood. This stress isn't confined to laboratory scenarios. Human mothers who undergo stress during pregnancy also have discernible effects on their children. For instance, in a British study, women who experienced abuse during pregnancy exhibited elevated levels of cortisol, a stress hormone, in their placenta during birth. Consequently, their children displayed a greater vulnerability to conditions predisposing them to addictions by the age of 7 or 8, highlighting how prenatal stress lays the foundation for various mental health issues. Further research conducted in Israel focused on children born to mothers pregnant before the onset of the 1967 war unveiled alarming findings. These expecting mothers endured significant stress during pregnancy, which manifested in their offspring having a higher occurrence of schizophrenia compared to the average cohort. These profound outcomes emphasize the substantial impact of prenatal experiences on the development of an individual, underscoring the lasting influence of stress during the gestational period. Human brain development sets us apart significantly from many other species, particularly in terms of the timing and process of development. Unlike animals like horses that are capable of running soon after birth, humans are remarkably underdeveloped at the start of life. The reason behind this disparity lies in the evolutionary demands on our physiology. As humans evolved larger heads to accommodate the burgeoning forebrain that distinguishes our species, the pelvis simultaneously narrowed due to our bipedal locomotion. Consequently, human infants are born prematurely, necessitating post-birth brain development, which happens to a large extent under the influence of the environment. The notion of neural Darwinism sheds light on the brain's response to environmental stimuli during development. This concept underscores that brain circuits receiving appropriate environmental input tend to develop optimally, while those lacking such input may not fully develop or even regress. A striking example of this principle is observed in the visual circuits of a child. Even with perfectly functional eyes at birth, if the child is isolated in darkness for an extended period, the circuits responsible for vision will not receive the necessary light waves for development. Consequently, the initial rudimentary circuits, devoid of stimulus, may degrade, leading to lifelong blindness as new circuits fail to form without the requisite environmental input. This underscores the critical role of environmental stimuli in shaping and maintaining neural connections during early human development. Unseen influences: the impact of early experiences on adult behavior and development. Early experiences, particularly those beyond the recall memory stage, significantly sculpt adult behavior. While explicit memory involves the retrieval of facts and details, the hippocampus, responsible for this recall memory, doesn't fully mature until much later, rendering hardly any recall memories before 18 months. On the other hand, implicit memory and emotional memory operates without explicit recall, embedding emotional experiences in nerve circuits. These circuits shape responses without direct recollection, significantly impacting behavior. For instance, individuals who are adopted often carry a lifelong sense of rejection. Though they cannot recall the adoption or separation from their birth mother due to underdeveloped hippocampal structures during infancy, the emotional memory of separation and rejection persists. Consequently, they are more prone to feeling rejected and emotionally distressed when faced with perceived rejection by others. This sense of rejection isn't exclusive to adoptees, but its potency is heightened due to the strong impact of implicit memory. Likewise, many hardcore addicts have faced significant childhood abuse or emotional loss. Their implicit memories paint a world as unsafe and untrustworthy, shaping their responses to intimacy, trust, and relationships. This perception influences their reluctance to engage in intimate connections, distrust of caregivers and professionals, and an overarching belief in an unsafe world, an outcome tightly tied to the impact of implicit memory, sometimes stemming from unrecalled incidents. Essential touch, the impact of human contact on infant development. Human touch plays a fundamental role in the development of infants. Studies have revealed that premature babies benefit significantly from even just 10 minutes of being touched and stroked on their backs each day, aiding in their brain development. Touch is an essential need for infants, so much so that the absence of physical contact can have severe consequences. Infants who are not held or touched might experience detrimental effects, and in extreme cases, the lack of touch can lead to fatality. However, societal pressures often advise against picking up crying babies, advocating for uninterrupted sleep, and discouraging frequent holding, contrary to the crucial need for physical contact. This conflicting advice deprives infants of the essential comfort and care they need, potentially leading them to develop implicit memories of a world that lacks compassion and care. Ties that bind, the crucial role of childhood environment. Early experiences play a pivotal role in shaping individuals, starting from the formative years of life. These differences are profoundly rooted in the parental experiences of adversity or ease, influencing how they interact with their children. Whether it's the manifestation of maternal depression or displaying irritability due to the challenges of their day, these experiences leave a profound impact on children's development. The effects of these encounters become deeply ingrained in children's programming, exerting significant influence on their growth. It's intriguing how this early sensitivity isn't a mere evolutionary flaw, but a common aspect observed across various species. Even in seedlings, there's an early adaptation to the environment they inhabit. For humans, this adaptation uniquely revolves around the quality of social relations. Essentially, the nurturing, conflicts, and attention received in early life offer a preview of the world children might encounter. It's a glimpse into whether they'll grow up in a competitive environment, learning self-reliance and mistrust, or in a society that values reciprocity, empathy, and cooperation. The kind of world they perceive becomes a blueprint for their emotional and cognitive development. Parenting, often unconsciously, serves as a conduit, passing on this experience to children, shaping their perception of the world they're part of. If a lot of people love each other, the world would be a better place to live. The Room, Tommy Wiseau. Childhood development, as articulated by D.W. Winnicott, hinges on two primary types of disruptions. The first encompasses traumatic and abusive events that significantly impact children's lives, evident in the experiences of individuals from areas like downtown East Side. These occurrences should not happen but unfortunately did, leaving enduring scars on those affected. However, Winnicott delves further, highlighting another critical aspect: the absence of essential nurturing experiences. This absence, labeled proximal abandonment by psychologist Alan Shore, refers to situations where children, though not subjected to overt abuse or neglect, lack the emotionally attuned and present caregiving required for healthy development. It's the absence of this emotionally available parental presence, due to societal stresses and parenting environment, that becomes a void in the lives of many children, impacting their emotional resilience and psychological well-being. The concept of proximal abandonment underscores the subtle yet profound impact of emotional availability in parenting on childhood development. It delineates a scenario where children are not necessarily facing explicit trauma, but lack consistent, emotionally responsive parenting. These children, although not abused or neglected, suffer from the absence of the essential nurturing, emotionally attuned presence of a caregiver, which is integral to their emotional and psychological growth. This absence, stemming from societal stresses and a lack of conducive parenting environments, illuminates a critical aspect of childhood development often overlooked in discussions solely centered on abuse or trauma. Dr. James Gilligan dedicated roughly 4 decades of his life to an unwavering pursuit, delving into the depths of human violence by engaging with society's most notorious offenders. His journey was fueled by an ardent desire to unearth the roots of violence, leading him into the confounding world of murderers, rapists, and the most violent criminals within prison walls. Through his immersive work, Dr. Gilligan uncovered a shocking reality: that the perpetrators of such extreme violence were themselves victims of unimaginable degrees of childhood abuse. This revelation shattered conventional understandings of what constituted child abuse, exposing the harrowing depth of maltreatment experienced by children in society. The violent individuals Dr. Gilligan encountered were not just perpetrators, they were survivors, having endured attempted murders, often inflicted by their own parents or individuals within their social milieu. Their lives bore the scars of familial and social violence, having lost their closest family members to acts of brutality committed by others. In his relentless quest to understand the causes of violence, Dr. Gilligan uncovered a profound truth. The cycle of violence was deeply entrenched within the lives of the most violent individuals he encountered. His insights underscored the lasting impact of severe childhood abuse and familial violence, offering a stark glimpse into the tumultuous environments that shaped these individuals. Through his work, Dr. Gilligan shed light on the urgent need for societal intervention, recognizing the critical role of early intervention and support in breaking the cycle of violence and abuse that perpetuated within families and communities. His dedication to comprehending the underlying causes of extreme violence brought to the forefront the imperative of addressing societal and familial dynamics to prevent the perpetuation of such distressing cycles. The Buddha's philosophical perspective emphasized the interconnectedness of everything within the universe, encapsulating the concept that each entity contains elements of the whole and is inextricably linked to its environment. This holistic viewpoint extends to human development, resonating with modern scientific insights into the biopsychosocial nature of human growth. Contemporary research, notably explored by psychiatrist and researcher Daniel Siegel at UCLA through his concept of interpersonal neurobiology, delves into the intricate relationship between human biology and its interaction with the social and psychological environment. Siegel's framework elucidates that the functioning of the human nervous system is intricately intertwined with personal relationships, primarily rooted in interactions with parental caregivers, influential attachment figures, and the broader cultural context. From infancy through adulthood and even into the twilight of life, this interconnectedness remains a cornerstone, shaping neurological functioning and development. The understanding that neurological functioning is profoundly influenced by the surrounding environment underscores the importance of the environment throughout the human lifespan. This concept illuminates that the quality of personal relationships and the broader cultural milieu significantly impact not only the development of the nervous system during infancy and childhood, but also continue to shape neurological functions in adulthood and later stages of life. It emphasizes the vital role of nurturing, supportive relationships in molding brain development, underscoring the lifelong impact of social and cultural environments on neurological functioning. This holistic perspective challenges the notion of isolating human biology from its surroundings, emphasizing the integral connection between individual development and the dynamic interplay with the environment. Understanding the broken windows effect in criminology. The proliferation of graffiti, even when not obscene, confronts the subway rider with the inescapable knowledge that the environment he must endure for an hour or more a day is uncontrolled and uncontrollable, and that anyone can invade it to do whatever damage and mischief the mind suggests. The broken window effect, often referred to as the broken windows theory, is a criminological concept suggesting that visible signs of disorder and neglect in a community can lead to an increase in both petty crime and more serious criminal behavior. The theory was popularized by James Q. Wilson and George L. Kelling in 1982. It uses the analogy of a broken window in a building. If a broken window in a building is left unrepaired, it sends a signal that no one cares about the property. Consequently, this encourages further vandalism and more serious crimes, as the lack of maintenance conveys an atmosphere of lawlessness and neglect. The theory posits that the presence of disorderly and unkempt environments fosters an environment conducive to criminal activity. The broken windows theory emphasizes the importance of maintaining order and addressing minor signs of disorder and vandalism in a community to prevent more serious crimes from occurring. It suggests that by addressing small issues promptly, communities can create an environment that discourages criminal behavior and promotes a sense of order and safety. This theory has been influential in shaping policing strategies and community policing approaches in various urban settings. However, its effectiveness and application have been subject to debate among criminologists and policymakers. Classical music has been employed as an unconventional yet effective tool in deterring crime, resonating with the concept of the broken window effect. The theory suggests that improving the social environment can significantly reduce criminal activities. In this context, playing classical music in public spaces serves as a mechanism to elevate the ambience, signaling a sense of orderliness and care for the surroundings. It contributes to creating an environment that discourages antisocial behavior by promoting a sense of respect and civility. The presence of classical music not only enriches the atmosphere but also fosters a more positive social environment, potentially deterring potential criminal activities by invoking a sense of community pride and responsibility for shared spaces. Shifting landscapes, tracing humanity's journey from egalitarianism to conflict. Throughout history, human societies have traversed diverse landscapes, experiencing an array of societal structures. Egalitarianism found its roots in early human societies, particularly among hunter-gatherer communities that thrived on principles of food sharing and reciprocal exchanges. These small, tightly knit groups predominantly survived through foraging, with limited hunting, fostering environments where individuals were deeply connected through kinship ties, often spanning extended families or known acquaintances. Material culture was relatively sparse, and social fluidity between groups was common, characterized by a world where interpersonal relationships and community bonds held paramount significance. This era of human existence, marked by its simplicity and close-knit social fabric, notably bore fewer traces of organized group violence, contrasting starkly with later periods of human history marked by such conflict. The question then arises, how did humanity diverge from this less violent, egalitarian existence into more contentious and organized societal frameworks? Violence within human societies exhibits immense diversity and isn't uniformly distributed across different cultures. Some societies stand as exemplars of near-absent violence, portraying remarkably low levels of aggression. Certain Anabaptist religious groups, such as the Amish, Mennonites, and Hutterites, adhere strictly to pacifism. Remarkably, among the Hutterites, there's a complete absence of recorded homicide cases, reflecting the profound commitment to nonviolence within these communities. During periods of significant conflict, like World War II, members of these groups preferred imprisonment over military service, staunchly adhering to their pacifist beliefs. In regions like the kibbutzim in Israel, characterized by exceptionally low violence levels, criminal courts sometimes employ a unique approach, sending offenders who have committed violent crimes to live in these communities. The rationale behind this unconventional measure is for these individuals to learn and adopt the nonviolent lifestyle prevalent within the kibbutzim, highlighting the powerful impact of such peaceful living environments on shaping behavior. Our identities, perceptions, and even our beliefs about life are deeply influenced by the societies we inhabit. Societies encompass various facets, including theological, metaphysical, linguistic, and cultural elements, collectively shaping our views on fundamental aspects of existence. These societal influences guide our understanding of core concepts, whether life revolves around sin or beauty, whether our actions impact an afterlife, and other existential considerations. A broad distinction emerges between individualistic and collectivist societies, each fostering distinct mindsets and ideologies. For instance, in the United States, an epitome of individualism, capitalism fuels a narrative of limitless potential for upward mobility, but also correlates with diminishing safety nets. In such stratified societies, the social structure limits symmetrical, reciprocal relationships, resulting in fewer peers and instead fostering a landscape of hierarchical structures. Consequently, a society with limited reciprocal partnerships often witnesses a decline in altruistic behavior. In an individualistic society like America, the dynamics of capitalism form a stark backdrop. The promise of ascending the societal pyramid corresponds to a reduction in safety nets, a trade-off inherent in this pursuit of upward mobility. This societal structure shapes relationships characterized by differing statuses and entrenched hierarchies, diminishing the prevalence of symmetrical, reciprocal partnerships. As the number of peers decreases, altruism within the society diminishes, reflecting the impact of societal structures on individual behaviors and values. The emphasis on personal advancement within such systems inherently fosters a competitive ethos, limiting the space for mutual, reciprocal relationships and, subsequently, altruistic behavior within the societal framework. Understanding the nature of human beings is a complex task, one that encompasses the vast spectrum of social and behavioral variability found within our species. Despite our inherent nature, humans exhibit an unparalleled capacity for social diversity, boasting an array of beliefs, familial structures, and child-rearing practices that highlight our extraordinary adaptability. However, in societies rooted in competition and often marked by exploitation, the prevailing ideology tends to justify ruthless behavior by attributing it to an inherent, unchangeable human nature. A prevailing myth perpetuated in such societies is that humans are naturally competitive, individualistic, and inherently selfish. Yet, the reality starkly contrasts with this notion. At the core of human nature lie certain fundamental needs for companionship, love, acceptance, and connection. When these needs are fulfilled, individuals tend to develop traits marked by compassion, cooperation, and empathy for others. To truly understand human nature, one must acknowledge the existence of these fundamental human needs that profoundly shape our traits and behaviors. The concrete expression of human nature emerges from the fulfillment or deprivation of these needs. The innate requirement for connection and acceptance leads to the development of compassionate and cooperative traits when these needs are met. Conversely, when individuals face a deficit in having their fundamental needs fulfilled, a distortion of human nature emerges, manifesting as traits contrary to their intrinsic potential. This disparity between innate needs and the actualized traits observed in society underscores the profound impact of unmet human needs in shaping behaviors and societal dynamics. Understanding the human organism's adaptability to diverse conditions and its inherent need for positive environmental stimuli while guarding against detrimental influences highlights a crucial societal responsibility. Just as the body relies on essential nutrients, the human brain requires constructive inputs for development, and the absence of such conditions may lead to physical and mental illnesses, as well as detrimental behaviors. This introspective examination prompts us to question whether our current socioeconomic system truly supports human health and social progress or hinders the fundamental evolutionary requisites for individual and communal well-being. Scrutinizing the contemporary societal landscape reveals a need to assess its alignment with the essential requirements for human health and societal advancement, raising concerns about whether our societal framework adequately fosters environments conducive to meeting these critical human needs. Intermission. The prevailing trading system often promotes an idealistic view of fairness and equality in transactions, but this notion is sharply refuted. Instead, trading, at its core, operates under the guise of equality while covertly fostering deception to secure a better outcome for one party. This system perpetuates a cycle of hidden coercion, effectively enforcing a monopolistic environment that inherently undermines public health for both affluent and marginalized segments of society. In this realm, politics merely emerges as a facade layered atop the trading structure, rendering the notion of influencing change through economic participation futile in the larger scheme. The semblance of fairness and equality in trading is a veil concealing a subtle conspiracy, sowing seeds of disparity and inequality rather than fostering genuine equity. The pervasive issues within our societal fabric are not a product of inherent human nature, but rather stem from widespread ignorance and unwavering blind adherence to established norms. While trading ostensibly upholds principles of exchange, it subtly embodies qualities reminiscent of organized crime. The mechanics of trade, inherently embedded with deceptive elements, perpetuate a system that thrives on clandestine agendas and perpetuates societal challenges. Acknowledging this fundamental distortion within the trading paradigm is pivotal in addressing the root causes of social disparities and fostering a more equitable and just societal structure.
Part 2. Free market capitalism. Consider the intricate nature of freedom and its illusion. There's a curious irony in the idea that sometimes individuals who believe they possess absolute freedom might unknowingly be confined by their own convictions. The illusion of liberty, when mistaken for actual autonomy, can lead to a profound sense of entrapment. It's a reminder of the complexity inherent in understanding true freedom, suggesting that perceived independence might conceal underlying limitations or constraints. This concept hints at the deeper layers within the human psyche, where the perception of freedom might differ vastly from the actual reality of it.
It's all about money, not freedom. If you think you're free, try going somewhere without money, okay?
The love of money is the root of all evil. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money.
Do you want to make some money?
The misconception of the money sequence of value, how economic theory overlooks the true drivers of well-being. The origins of our current economic system can be traced back to John Locke's introduction of the concept of property. Locke's theory of property included three conditions: that there must be enough left over for others, that it must not be allowed to spoil, and that it must be mixed with one's labor. Initially, Locke presented a compelling argument for private property, but he later abandoned these provisos when he introduced the concept of money. This led to a significant shift, as money became a means to acquire property, regardless of whether it was earned through labor or not. Adam Smith further developed Locke's ideas by introducing the concept of the invisible hand of the market. According to Smith, the market would naturally regulate itself to achieve equilibrium between supply and demand. This notion essentially deified the market, as it was now seen as an autonomous entity that would ensure the efficient allocation of resources. Smith also believed that the poor would be limited by the scarcity of subsistence and that nature would deal with this by eliminating their children. This callous view of the poor highlighted his blindness to the immense suffering caused by poverty and inequality. The ideas of Locke and Smith have had a profound impact on modern economics and society. Their theories have contributed to the rise of capitalism and the belief in the self-regulating nature of the free market. However, the flaws in their theories, such as the lack of consideration for social justice and the environment, have led to many of the problems we face today, including inequality, poverty, and ecological destruction. Adam Smith, the father of modern economics, proposed the concept of the free market based on the exchange of tangible goods necessary for survival. However, the rise of financial trading, where money is made solely by moving money, has diverted the focus of economic activity away from tangible goods. This shift is rooted in Smith's treatment of money as a commodity, but it has led to the pursuit of money for its own sake, detached from its productive value. The pursuit of financial gain, driven by the money sequence of value, has become the primary economic motivator in virtually every economy worldwide, regardless of their social system. This has overshadowed the foundational life sequence of value, which emphasizes the well-being of individuals and society. The result is a situation where economic activity is dominated by financial transactions and speculative investments, often at the expense of the real economy and societal well-being. The decoupling of the money sequence of value from the foundational life sequence of value has led to a profit-oriented mindset that disregards social and environmental responsibility. This has contributed to a system where economic success is measured solely in terms of financial gain, often at the expense of sustainable development and the well-being of future generations. Realigning the focus back to the life interest is crucial for creating an economic system that prioritizes societal needs and fosters true progress.
God doesn't make the world this way. We do.
Economic doctrine has been muddled by a fundamental misunderstanding, the belief that the money sequence of value directly leads to the life sequence of value. This misconception arises from the notion that increased sales, rising gross domestic product, and other economic indicators automatically translate into enhanced well-being, leading to the assumption that GDP can serve as a reliable barometer of societal health. This confusion stems from the conflation of the money sequence of value, which encompasses monetary transactions and revenues from goods sold, with the life sequence of value, which represents the processes that sustain and enhance life. By conflating these two distinct sequences, economic theory has built in a fundamental flaw that becomes increasingly perilous as the money sequence of value becomes detached from actual value creation. Economics is not a science. This systemic disorder has dire consequences. As the money sequence of value diverges from the production of tangible value, it transforms into a self-perpetuating cycle of financial transactions that no longer reflect genuine economic activity. This decoupling leads to a situation where economic growth and financial gains are achieved without a corresponding increase in well-being or sustainability. In essence, the current economic system suffers from a structural flaw that renders it both unsustainable and detrimental to societal well-being. This systemic disorder poses a significant threat and demands urgent attention and fundamental restructuring. The insanity of our economic system, prioritizing profit over well-being, sustainability, and justice. In today's society, we often rely on economic indicators like GDP, CPI, and stock market value to measure our progress. However, these measures do not accurately reflect the well-being, happiness, trust, or social stability of a society. They only measure the flow of money and do not provide any insight into the quality of people's lives. Take GDP, for instance. Often touted as a measure of national prosperity, it simply reflects the total value of goods and services produced. Yet GDP does not differentiate between goods and services that contribute to our well-being and those that do not. For example, the GDP would increase if we spent more money on healthcare, even if it meant that people were getting sicker. This is because healthcare spending is counted as a positive contribution to the economy, regardless of whether it actually makes people healthier or not. GDP, CPI, and other economic indicators are important tools for measuring certain aspects of a country's economy. However, they do not provide a complete picture of our progress. To truly understand the well-being of our society, we need to look at a wider range of indicators, including measures of health, happiness, trust, and social stability. You have to create problems to create profit. The current economic system prioritizes profit generation over societal well-being. Saving lives, maintaining ecological balance, promoting justice and peace offer little financial gain within this paradigm. The saying "pass a law and create a business" epitomizes this mindset, as laws often lead to business opportunities, such as the proliferation of lawyers. Similar to how crime creates business, destruction in Haiti has resulted in lucrative opportunities. The United States incarceration rate reflects this profit-driven approach, with approximately 2 million people imprisoned. Private corporations, such as Corrections Corporation of America and Wackenhut, operate many of these prisons and profit from incarcerating individuals. Their stock prices rise based on the number of inmates, highlighting the perverse incentives of the system. This situation serves as a chilling illustration of how the current economic paradigm prioritizes profit over human welfare. It is crucial to challenge this paradigm and explore alternative economic models that prioritize human well-being, environmental sustainability, and social justice. Only then can we create a society that values life, balance, and justice over profit maximization. The global market system is built on the continuous flow of consumption to maintain its functionality. The three main actors in this system are the employee, the employer, and the consumer. Employees sell their labor to employers, who produce goods and services that are purchased by consumers. In order for the system to continue operating, there must be sufficient demand for goods and services to generate income for each of these actors. In theory, an economy is designed to be efficient and minimize waste. However, our current system, with its emphasis on consumption, promotes the opposite. It encourages the rapid depletion of finite resources, such as oil and minerals, which took millions or billions of years to form. This approach, known as ecocidal insanity, leads to the destruction of the environment and is unsustainable in the long term. The intent of the market system is to maximize consumption, not to preserve or economize. This is inherently at odds with the true purpose of an economy, which should be to efficiently allocate resources for producing and distributing essential goods that support life. Therefore, we need to shift our focus from promoting consumption to promoting efficiency and sustainability. This means developing a system that minimizes waste, conserves resources, and operates in harmony with the natural world. We need an economy that truly economizes. It's alarming how wasteful our current system is. Every level of life organization, from ecosystems to social programs and water access, faces crisis, challenge, decay, or collapse. Scientific research consistently supports this notion of widespread decline. It's almost impossible to name a life form that isn't threatened or endangered. This realization can be overwhelming, leading to feelings of despair. Unfortunately, we have yet to fully comprehend the underlying mechanisms responsible for this pervasive decline. It's as if we are afraid to confront the root causes, choosing instead to continue our current practices despite their clear ineffectiveness. This denial of reality borders on insanity as we persist in repeating actions that evidently do not yield positive outcomes. It is clear that we are not dealing with a functional economic system. In fact, one could argue that it's an anti-economic system, given its inherent wastefulness and destruction. Our current approach is unsustainable, and we urgently need to find alternative systems that prioritize efficiency, sustainability, and the well-being of all life forms. Recognizing the extent of the crisis is the first step towards finding solutions. We must educate ourselves, challenge assumptions, and embrace innovative thinking. It's essential to collaborate across disciplines and perspectives to develop truly sustainable and regenerative systems. By working together, we can create a future where waste is eliminated and all life can thrive. The Economics of Obsolescence, unveiling the inherent contradictions of market-driven consumption. In the competitive market ideology, the pursuit of the best possible goods at the lowest possible prices underpins the rationale for market competition, assuming that competition naturally yields higher quality products. Logically, if one were to construct a chest of drawers from scratch, it would be fashioned from durable, top-notch materials for long-lasting use. However, within the market domain, such rationality isn't just unfeasible, it's inconceivable. It becomes mathematically impossible to produce the most advanced, efficient, and sustainable products because the competitive market necessitates cost efficiency at every stage, from labor to materials. This inherent cost-cutting strategy results in what can be termed as intrinsic obsolescence, ensuring that everything produced is immediately inferior, sustaining a cyclical consumption pattern. Amidst this, a deeper and lesser-known principle governs market economics: nothing produced can outlast cyclical consumption. This notion propels the strategy of planned obsolescence, a deliberate design to ensure products break down, expire, or become obsolete within a specific timeframe. Corporations obscure this strategy within the phenomenon of intrinsic obsolescence while dismissing potentially sustainable technological advancements. Planned obsolescence ensures that longer-lasting goods are counterproductive for the market system, directly linking product sustainability to economic growth's inverse. The glaring reality underscores this system's inefficiency: landfills cluttered with short-lived electronic gadgets, laden with precious yet difficult-to-mine materials, discarded due to minor malfunctions or obsolescence. Despite the potential for repair or upgrades, economic efficiency contends against such practicalities. Sustainability, preservation, and efficiency emerge as adversaries to the economic system, evident in a sea of wasteful landfills, a stark illustration of the system's operational reality in stark contrast to physical, finite resources. The implications extend beyond material goods into the service industry, where there's no monetary incentive to resolve existing issues. The medical field, for instance, doesn't financially benefit from curing diseases like cancer, which would reduce jobs and revenues. Similarly, within the system's parameters, crime, terrorism, and war industries are economically viable. Crime perpetuates employment in law enforcement and generates revenue from security and privately owned prisons. Also, the war industry, notably in America, thrives on production for destruction and reconstruction, a profitable cycle witnessed in events like the Iraq War, where billion-dollar contracts fueled economic growth despite societal losses. The paradox surfaces in the rise of GDP, often indicating an increase in necessity, contrived or real, resulting inherently in inefficiency. Increased necessity directly correlates to increased inefficiency, perpetuating a system where economic sustenance thrives on environmentally detrimental attributes, fostering a stark contradiction between economic sustainability and social good.
A shooting war is better for business. Which is more obscene? Sex or war? Why is it that there is a gun shop on almost every corner in this community? I'll tell you why. For the same reason that there is a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves.
Manufactured desires, the consumer culture conundrum. The American dream, heavily reliant on consumerism, is deeply entrenched in the fabric of society. Mainstream media and commercial advertising play pivotal roles in perpetuating this ethos, promoting an insatiable desire for material possessions as the cornerstone of happiness. However, the truth lies far from this narrative. Despite the mounting evidence against the fulfillment found in material wealth, people continue to adhere to this ideology, leading to ecological repercussions. This adherence isn't merely a choice but a result of systematic conditioning, classical and operant conditioning methods intricately woven into advertising strategies. Companies boast about their ability to embed brand consciousness even in infants, shaping consumer behaviors from an incredibly young age. This manipulation of values and desires is a reflection of a societal disorder, fostering a distorted perception of fulfillment and contentment. The malleability of the human mind is showcased in the world of commercial advertising. People, influenced by environmental stimuli and reinforced messages, become conditioned to consume. The concept of status, often associated with certain brands, drives consumers to spend exorbitant amounts on products that may have minimal intrinsic value. Traditional communal traditions, fostering trust and cohesiveness, have been reshaped by acquisitive materialistic values. The annual exchange of useless items during holidays exemplifies this shift. Compulsive shopping and acquisition become common when societies condition individuals from childhood to associate material goods with status among peers and family. The foundation of any society rests on its values. In our current societal structure, conspicuous consumption is essential for the continuation of the market system. This drives corporations to invest heavily in advertising, prioritizing the creation of false needs over the production of products. The consumer culture we witness today is a manufactured construct designed to drive higher levels of consumption. Corporations exploit this by spending more resources on advertising than on product creation itself. They successfully manipulate consumers into feeling the need to fill these manufactured gaps, perpetuating the cycle of consumption. When you're born into this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show. And if you're born in America, you get a front row seat.
Anything I can help you with?
Yes, I'm looking for clothes so expensive only an idiot would buy them. Oh, there they are.
If we understand the mechanism and motives of the group mind, it is now possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without them knowing it. Deception and devotion, unmasking the scam of religion. In today's market-driven society, the relentless pursuit of profit and efficiency creates an environment ripe for scams to proliferate. With its focus on maximizing gains and minimizing costs, the market system inadvertently fosters a culture where individuals are drawn to the promise of quick riches. Scams capitalize on this desire for rapid wealth accumulation, presenting themselves as attractive opportunities for those seeking immediate financial success. Within this landscape, scams find fertile ground to thrive, exploiting loopholes and vulnerabilities in the system to generate substantial profits in remarkably short periods. As a result, the allure of quick wealth perpetuates a cycle of deception and exploitation, undermining trust and integrity within the market framework. Although money and trade are a religion, the well-known religions of the world are the greatest scams on earth. They rely on deception to exist. Religion is a for-profit business. God is all-powerful yet is still weak enough that he needs money. Yet even when a religion isn't about making money, it is definitely about oppression and control through lies. If it's not someone oppressing you directly, it's about punishing yourself with superstitious blind belief. This brainwashing serves as a distraction from obtaining world peace. The concept of God is actually a contradiction in logic. In the Bible, God is described as an entity which speaks, while simultaneously is everywhere or omnipresent. So God actually mirrors the Santa Claus superstition that is told to children. Religion embraces repulsiveness and also has a focus on death worship with a focus on what happens after you die, and afterlife being more important than your life, because again, religion is mind control. Hence religion is fear-based, not love-based like true science is. A religion is born out of poverty and ignorance, so it can only promote poverty and ignorance. Religion will use the truth as bait. It will say something truthful like, love and fear cannot coexist. Yet you have to wonder what kind of love they are talking about when religious people kill people who either don't conform, or kill people because of a superstitious reason. In India they believe ingesting cow dung and cow urine has medical benefits. There is no scientific evidence to support this claim. So religion is deceptive, insane shit. A religious person will do mental gymnastics and say things like, just because someone like Peter Popoff is proven to be a scam, this doesn't prove God doesn't exist. Scam artists like Peter Popoff will be punished in hell. Well, it actually does prove God doesn't exist. Such a statement shows a misconception about reality. The scientific reality is that fire needs a fuel to burn. According to some sources, the character Jesus Christ might have come from older beliefs, possibly from the Egyptian god Horus. The Christian religion is a parody on the worship of the sun, in which they put a man called Christ in the place of the sun, and pay him the adoration originally paid to the sun. But more blatantly obvious is that Jesus Christ is copied from the Old Testament, from the character Joseph mentioned in Genesis. This is considering the 60 similarities between Joseph and Jesus. The stories are different, but there are similarities between the stories in artistic or creative ways. To quote George Lucas, it's like poetry, they rhyme. The reason it's written in a particular way or copied from the Old Testament is because whoever wrote it knew what works and what doesn't regarding manipulating people. In George Orwell's dystopian novel 1984, Winston grapples with forbidden love for Julia, a fellow rebel. Their passion defies the oppressive regime of Big Brother, which seeks to control every aspect of their lives. However, as the story unfolds, Winston's love is crushed, and he is coerced into adoring Big Brother, an emblem of the totalitarian state. This haunting transformation mirrors the psychological torment faced by heterosexual men who are pressured to embrace religious dogma, even if it conflicts with their true feelings. The parallel between Winston's fate and the enforced devotion to Jesus underscores the power dynamics inherent in both political and religious systems, where love can be weaponized or manipulated to maintain control. Some people hearing that statement will have a knee-jerk reaction and claim I'm against homosexuality, but to make things clear, I'm against the use of torture to control people. The irony of religion is while it has homosexual themes like wanting heterosexual men to love Jesus, they are also against homosexuality. So religion is perfected mind control as it promotes cognitive dissonance. Religion is about oppression, plain and simple. You're not allowed to eat meat on a certain day because you must punish yourself pointlessly and make a meaningless, superstitious sacrifice to Buddha. If someone draws Muhammad, they must be eliminated. If someone criticizes Scientology, Scientologists must attack their critics. Also, religious scams have official websites, and the word official is strongly related to the word authority. A religion will present a hierarchical view of reality, which is in line with the concept of copyright. So the Book of Mormon and Scientology's book, Dianetics, are under copyright. The so-called sacred apparently needs legal, intellectual property protection. To this day I find it remarkable that anybody even at the most remote podunk field office of the FBI thought that a fitting use for taxpayer dollars was investigating people for criminal theft on the grounds that they had made the law public. How can you call yourself a lawman and think that there can possibly be anything wrong in this whole world with making the law public? Lighthouses are more useful than churches. Religion can never reform mankind because religion is slavery. Religion is politics. There is no humor in religion because they are under the impression that they must take nonsense seriously. Terms like scientism, the idea that science is a religion, are terms used by religious people in an attempt to discredit the scientific method. And those people who try to discredit the scientific method will ironically use a device made by science to do that. The law of the Lord is a perfect scam. Soulless aesthetics, the market's grip on artistic expression. In a market-driven world, aesthetics often bow to cost efficiency, yielding an abundance of ugly art, architecture, and music. Yet, amidst this sea of soullessness, we find resistance in the form of graffiti, a voice against uninspired structures. The prevalence of unconventional art questions the market's grasp on beauty, favoring contemporary tastes over timeless resonance. However, the essence of art lies not in mere aesthetics but in its ability to enrich and inspire. Ugly art, lacking in depth, reflects a system that prioritizes profit over the profound impact of artistic expression. The consequences of profit-driven economic philosophy, human suffering and neglect of life-sustaining needs. Economists are often perceived as experts in the realm of finance, but in reality, their primary focus lies in promoting the concept of monetary value. Their models and theories revolve around token exchanges that prioritize profit, neglecting the actual processes and mechanisms that drive economic growth and societal well-being. This narrow perspective leads to a disconnect between economic models and the real world, where factors such as production, labor, and resource allocation play a crucial role in shaping economic outcomes. In a question and answers interview, Milton Friedman said, regarding a man who died because he didn't have the money to pay his electricity bill, the following quote: "The responsibility really lies not on the electric company for turning it off, but on those of this man's neighbors and friends and associates who were not charitable enough to enable him, as an individual, to meet the electric bill." Milton Friedman's perspective seems detached from the human consequences of a profit-driven system. His assertion that the responsibility for the death of the man who couldn't pay his electric bill lies with the community for not being charitable enough reflects a cold, utilitarian outlook that places the burden on society rather than the institution directly involved. His stance embodies a belief in individualism to an extreme, placing the onus of survival solely on the shoulders of those nearest, rather than questioning the ethics of a system that prioritizes profit over human life. This attitude ignores the structural inequalities perpetuated by profit-driven businesses, where vulnerable individuals become casualties of a system that values financial gain above humanitarian concerns. It highlights a troubling facet of business culture where compassion and social responsibility are often overshadowed by profit motives, leaving many vulnerable individuals at the mercy of market forces and social safety nets that are fundamentally flawed and inadequate. Poverty, inequality, and a lack of access to nutritious food are the root causes of why every 5 seconds, a child somewhere in the world dies from hunger and malnutrition. The philosophies embraced by market economists reflect a deep-seated belief system that operates akin to religious doctrine. Their theories, revolving around the primacy of financial transactions and economic principles, create a self-contained discourse that revolves primarily around monetary considerations. This closed cycle encompasses intricate economic analyses like consumption patterns, fiscal policies, and demand models while overlooking fundamental aspects such as human needs, environmental conservation, and the crucial imperative of nurturing life-sustaining systems. Instead, these economic ideologies adamantly assert that individuals, primarily motivated by self-interest and the pursuit of financial gain, inherently lead to a self-regulated and harmonious society. Despite the evident gaps in accounting for scientific realities and the broader dynamics of societal and ecological well-being, this paradigm persists with a zealous fervor reminiscent of religious conviction. The dominant economic theory lacks any consideration for the well-being and needs of individuals. It prioritizes the pursuit of self-interest and the accumulation of money above all else. Social relations, natural resources, and the family unit are only relevant insofar as they contribute to the maximization of individual gains. Human needs are reduced to mere wants that can be satisfied through market transactions, irrespective of whether those wants align with basic necessities or frivolities. This narrow focus on monetary transactions and self-maximization leads to a distorted and incomplete understanding of the economy's role in society. It ignores the broader social and environmental implications of economic activities and fails to address the fundamental issue of meeting human needs. This limited perspective perpetuates a system that prioritizes material wealth over human well-being and sustainability. The monetary system, a debt-fueled Ponzi scheme on a finite planet. The market system involves individuals engaging in various economic activities, such as labor production and distribution, primarily driven by the pursuit of profit. In contrast, the monetary system represents a set of policies established by financial institutions that influences the conditions of the market system. This system encompasses terms like interest rates, loans, debt, money supply, and inflation, which are often discussed by monetary economists. Despite the complexity and jargon associated with the monetary system, its underlying nature is relatively simple. 3 fundamental elements govern the global economy: fractional reserve banking, compound interest, and an infinite growth paradigm. Fractional reserve banking allows banks to create money through lending, while compound interest requires borrowers to pay back more than they originally borrowed. This process leads to the creation of additional money, which must be serviced by further money creation. The prevailing economic paradigm can be characterized as a Ponzi scheme where continuous growth is essential for its survival. However, such perpetual growth is not feasible in the context of a finite planet. James Hillman, a renowned psychologist, observed that in the human body, only cancer grows after a certain age. This analogy highlights the inherent limitations to growth. The relentless pursuit of economic growth places a heavy burden on individuals who are essentially seen as vehicles for money creation. This cycle requires constant borrowing and money creation to maintain its stability. However, the current global economic crisis underscores the fragility of this system and its inability to sustain infinite growth on a finite planet. The monetary system is fundamentally underpinned by debt, a reality that shapes the entirety of the economy. Money, in its essence, originates from debt, whether in the form of bonds, loans, or credit transactions. This monetary creation tied to debt establishes a unique scenario where if all outstanding debt were instantly repaid, there wouldn't exist a single dollar in circulation. Additionally, interest charged on loans compounds this problem as the money required to settle the interest doesn't exist in the money supply but is necessary to cover the interest charges, inevitably leading to an ever-increasing money supply and, consequently, inflation.
The entire world economy rests on the consumer. If he ever stops spending money he doesn't have on things he doesn't need, we're done for. If there were no debts in our money system, there wouldn't be any money. Each and every time a bank makes a loan, new bank credit is created, new deposits, brand new money. Banking doesn't involve fraud, banking is fraud. Only commercial banks and trust companies can lend money that they manufacture by lending it. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. The study of money, above all other fields in economics, is one in which complexity is used to disguise truth or to evade truth, not to reveal it. The process by which banks create money is so simple that the mind is repelled. The issue which has swept down the centuries and which will have to be fought sooner or later is the people versus the banks. Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws. Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
This system's dynamics inevitably lead to inflation and bankruptcy. The perpetual increase in the money supply to cover interest charges invariably causes inflation, a trend witnessed globally. Moreover, bankruptcy looms over individuals, businesses, and even countries, arising when interest payments become insurmountable. However, within this scenario, the system is rigged to favor corporations and those in power. Debt effectively creates a workforce entrapped in financial obligations, making them more likely to accept low wages, turning individuals into easily exploitable resources for corporations.
And I said, look, we'd like to ask you to work for us for 50 cents a year, and if you would devote at least 20 hours a week.
This same concept extends to countries where global entities like the World Bank and the IMF offer significant loans at high interest rates, eventually exerting control and exploitation when nations fall into insurmountable debt. The stock market serves as a unique amalgamation of the monetary and market systems, deviating from the tangible production of goods and services. Instead, it operates by buying and selling money itself, even trading debt for profit. Complex financial instruments like credit default swaps and collateralized debt obligations further compound this issue, allowing for the commodification and manipulation of debt for financial gain. The interconnectedness between the stock market, Wall Street, and the monetary system has birthed an unprecedented level of irrationality and instability within the economy, showcasing a distorted version of value driven by the money sequence. The editorial Lessons of the Brain-Damaged Investor sheds light on a disturbing reality within Wall Street and the financial markets. It outlines how individuals with diminished empathy, often due to slight brain damage, perform better as investors. This detachment from empathy allows for decisions and trades to be executed without consideration for their impact on fellow human beings. Consequently, Wall Street fosters a culture that breeds individuals lacking in empathy, transforming them into robotic traders devoid of ethical concerns or moral considerations. To exacerbate this trend, financial institutions now opt for algorithmic trading, employing computerized systems that engage in high-frequency trading. These systems, exemplified by Goldman Sachs' collocated computer, engage in trading strategies that exploit minute price differences, reaping immense profits through tactics that, statistically, seem impossible. The pervasive culture of corruption within Wall Street and financial institutions perpetuates fraudulent practices as the norm rather than an exception. Bribes flow upward within the hierarchy, from brokers to compliance officers, ultimately facilitating an environment where compliance with the law becomes a transactional affair. Compliance officers, tasked with ensuring adherence to regulations, can be influenced or manipulated, making adherence to the law a matter of circumstantial compliance rather than ethical obligation. Fraud, once considered an incidental issue within the system, has now become its very foundation. Financial institutions engage in the trading of fraudulent claims, generating profits and bonuses through the circulation and resecuritization of these fraudulent assets, which have no real value or likelihood of ever being repaid. This systemic acceptance and promotion of fraudulent activities have transformed them into the driving force behind the United States' economic growth, despite the inherent risks and lack of substance in these transactions. The staggering scale of outstanding fraudulent claims, particularly derivatives, within the global financial system presents an alarming predicament. With an estimated value surpassing $700 trillion, this sum far exceeds the entire planet's gross domestic product by more than tenfold. The repercussions of this financial entanglement have already manifested in government bailouts of corporations and banks, an irony given that these bailouts often involve governments borrowing funds from the very institutions they seek to rescue. Now, attempts are underway to bail out entire countries, orchestrated by conglomerates of nations through international banks. However, the enormity of the problem poses a critical question: how does one bail out an entire planet? Nearly every country is ensnared in debt, and the chain reaction of sovereign debt defaults appears to be only at its onset, considering the staggering arithmetic. The trajectory seems dire as economists predict an ominous future where income taxes in the United States may need to skyrocket to a staggering 65% per person just to cover the impending interest payments. Projections paint a bleak picture, hinting that within a few decades, a staggering 60% of the world's countries might face bankruptcy. Astonishingly, the looming global financial crisis is founded upon an intangible concept, debt, an abstract construct invented within the financial realm.
Well, honey, I've extended our line of credit and exhausted all our savings. We should be good for another month.
Oh, that's great, honey. Well, what are we going to do next month?
Well, I'll tell you what we're not going to do. Shoot all of our children and then kill ourselves.
Oh, I'm going to hold you to that.
I don't think you'll have any control over it.
Yet, the repercussions of this monetary fiction are felt tangibly, impacting billions of lives worldwide. The consequences are stark: soaring unemployment rates, burgeoning tent cities, escalating poverty, the imposition of austerity measures, closure of educational institutions, widespread child hunger, and various forms of deprivation among families. All these distressing realities have emerged due to a systemic financial crisis rooted in a complex web of financial maneuvers, prompting a rhetorical question: in light of this elaborate and catastrophic fiction, does this not reflect a collective misjudgment?
Yo, Earth, what's with the long face? Oh, hey, Mars, I'm just, struggling with some stuff. Same old, same old. You're gonna ask for a favor again, aren't you? Well, you see... Alright, what's this? Earth, you better not be here begging for resources again. Look, I know I've been a little careless lately, but... No buts! You're always making things designed to break, making a mess, and then expecting us to bail you out. Grow up, man. Earth, you've got to start taking care of yourself. You know you've got plenty of resources. You've just got to use them more wisely instead of mindlessly consuming them. Yeah, I know. I just need a little help. Well, you're not going to exhaust all our resources too, so we're cutting you off. Come on, guys. Wait, guys, come on, I can change. I promise. I'll give up the market as soon as I've made enough profit to retire on.
The corrosive consequences of inequality, how the monetary market paradigm impacts public health and societal well-being. The market system, with its inherent tendency towards monopoly and wealth consolidation, and the monetary system, with its built-in class division, have created a profound consequence: inequality. This inequality manifests in various ways, from the disproportionate wealth of top hedge fund managers compared to scientists or healthcare workers, to the structural classism embedded in the monetary system, where individuals with savings can earn interest without contributing socially, while those who rely on loans end up paying interest that enriches the wealthy. Historically, social stratification has been accepted as a norm, with the top 1% of the population owning a significant portion of the world's wealth. However, beyond material fairness, inequality has a detrimental impact on public health. The social and economic disparities created by inequality lead to unequal access to healthcare, education, and healthy living conditions, contributing to a decline in overall public health. The monetary market paradigm, which combines the market and monetary systems, has exacerbated inequality and its negative consequences for public health. This paradigm has created a system where wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few, while the majority of the population struggles to meet basic needs. This disparity in wealth and resources leads to disparities in health outcomes and a decline in overall public health. The unsettling contrast between the immense material success of societies and the pervasive social failings has sparked considerable bewilderment. Despite unprecedented wealth, societal indicators reveal a darker narrative marked by escalating rates of drug abuse, violence, self-harm among youths, and a surge in mental health issues. This stark discrepancy unveils a profound truth, that inequality isn't merely divisive but deeply corrosive to social fabric. The empirical evidence corroborates a long-standing intuition: inequality fosters detrimental psychological and social ramifications. It seems to breed sentiments of superiority and inferiority, fostering a schism where those at the bottom feel disrespected and marginalized. This degradation of self-worth is linked to the higher prevalence of violence in more unequal societies, where disrespect becomes a potent trigger for aggressive behavior. The paramount principle emerging from this data is the pivotal role of equality in curbing violence. It stands as the linchpin for preventing violent behaviors within societies. The degree of equality versus inequality emerges as the primary factor shaping the prevalence of violence. The more egalitarian a society, the lower the propensity for violent tendencies among its populace. This foundational principle underlines the indispensable link between social equality and the prevention of violence, emphasizing the urgency of addressing disparities to safeguard societal well-being. The empirical realities substantiate the interconnectedness between societal inequalities and the alarming surge in social maladies. The data echoes the sentiment that pervasive inequalities breed a climate ripe for social unrest, marked by feelings of disrespect and inferiority. In essence, the evidence not only underscores the profound psychological and social implications of inequality but also underscores the imperative of striving for a more equitable society to stem the tide of violence and societal deterioration. The assertion that equality stands as the linchpin for curbing violence underscores a profound truth about societal dynamics. This principle posits that the prevalence of violence within a society is intricately linked to the prevailing degrees of equality or inequality. By placing equality at the forefront of prevention strategies, it not only addresses violence but acts as a fulcrum for social well-being. This principle underscores the need for societal structures that prioritize equitable distribution of resources, rights, and opportunities to mitigate the risk of violent behaviors stemming from feelings of disparity and marginalization. The ramifications of growing inequality transcend singular aspects of societal functioning; rather, they permeate every facet of communal existence. It's evident that heightened inequality isn't limited to isolated problems but engenders a broader social dysfunction. As disparities widen, a domino effect unfolds, impacting various spheres, including crime rates, public health, mental well-being, and numerous other societal indicators. This correlation paints a comprehensive picture wherein the degree of inequality bears a direct relationship with the deterioration of multiple social dimensions, portraying inequality as a catalyst for widespread societal malaise. The data underscores the pervasive and multidimensional impact of inequality, revealing a societal landscape characterized by systemic dysfunction. The correlation between growing inequality and escalating social challenges across domains like crime, health, mental illness, and more accentuates the interconnectedness of these issues. It highlights how the root cause of these multifaceted challenges often traces back to disparities in wealth, status, and opportunity, underscoring the urgent need for systemic changes to foster greater equality and alleviate the widespread social dysfunction. The striking correlation between socioeconomic status and health outcomes, known as the health socioeconomic gradient, underscores a profound disparity that transcends singular diseases or conditions. This gradient manifests as a downward slope, where each step down the socioeconomic ladder corresponds to deteriorating health across multiple facets. It's a complex interplay wherein life expectancy, prevalence of diseases, and infant mortality rates all worsen as one descends socioeconomically. However, the reasons behind this gradient are not as straightforward as mere health causes driving socioeconomic differences. It's observable that an individual's socioeconomic status at a young age can predict their health outcomes decades later, questioning the direction of causality. Contrary to simplistic explanations attributing the health gradient solely to healthcare access or lifestyle risk factors like smoking and drinking, a deeper truth emerges: the profound impact of stress associated with poverty. While lifestyle choices contribute to health disparities to a certain extent, careful studies reveal they only explain a portion of the variability in health outcomes across different socioeconomic strata. The residual factor, largely unaccounted for, aligns with the stress inherent in poverty. It's not merely being in a state of poverty but the psychological and emotional weight of feeling poor that significantly impacts health outcomes. This revelation underscores the profound psychological toll that socioeconomic inequality exerts on individuals, revealing that the health-poverty connection is more about the perception and experience of poverty than the condition of being poor itself. The correlation between socioeconomic disparities and public health outcomes highlights the pivotal role of social relations in chronic stress. Heightened socioeconomic inequality exacerbates public health problems, with more significant disparities leading to severe health challenges. Extensive research consistently links greater equality to favorable health indicators, showcasing longer life expectancies, lower rates of substance abuse and mental illness, and stronger social cohesion in more egalitarian societies. Additionally, crime rates, homicides, and imprisonment rates tend to be lower in nations with reduced inequality. The Whitehall study emphasized the stark contrast in health outcomes across socioeconomic strata, revealing a stark fourfold increase in heart disease mortality among those situated in lower socioeconomic tiers compared to their higher-tier counterparts. This health gradient persists regardless of healthcare access, emphasizing the profound impact of psychosocial stress on health outcomes. In the pursuit of wealth through trade, deception often becomes a currency, widening the chasm between the affluent and the destitute. As disparities grow, societal health deteriorates, fracturing communities and eroding trust. In this market-driven hierarchy, the intrinsic value of social relations diminishes, giving way to alienation and individualism. To forge a more inclusive society, we must confront income inequality and prioritize equitable distribution, where genuine connections outweigh material gain.
The best way to reduce poverty is to unleash the creative power of individuals through free markets and limited government.
Please note, I'm not advocating big government like a 1984 Ingsoc-style society. Nor do I advocate the phrase, "you will own nothing and you will be happy." Yet the market system as it currently is, through trade, both parties both wanting to secure the better outcome for themselves, mathematically results in a greater and greater gap between rich and poor. Science shows this situation is bad for human health due to the stress of social competition and a social hierarchy. The market results in poor social relations. The monetary market system stands at the heart of numerous societal maladies, serving as the primary driver behind ecological degradation, waste, pollution, violence, poverty, and animal abuse. Its profit-oriented structure not only perpetuates these problems but also significantly contributes to the prevalence of mental health disorders like neurosis, depression, and anxiety within society. This profit-driven motive not only exacerbates existing societal issues but also impedes progress towards personal health, global sustainability, and societal advancement. It's crucial to recognize that the root cause of these challenges lies not in individual entities like corrupt governments or corporations, nor in inherent human nature, but rather in the systemic flaws embedded within the socio-economic system itself.
This may be hard for you to understand, but there is no conspiracy. Nobody is in charge. It's a headless blunder operating on the illusion of a master plan. Can you grasp that? Big Brother is not watching you.
This land was purchased legally.
You destroyed a natural habitat, drained its resources, then abandoned it to rot. There is nothing legal about that.
Never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany was legal.
Consequently, meaningful change can only be achieved through systemic transformation, which prioritizes values such as equity, sustainability, and collective well-being over profit margins. Such systemic change is imperative to address these pressing societal issues effectively and pave the way for a more equitable and sustainable future.
You will never leave this basement. This will be your life until I have squeezed every last dollar out of you.
Religion, the dominion of the human mind. Property, the dominion of human needs. And government, the dominion of human conduct, represent the stronghold of man's enslavement and all the horrors it entails. You can't have capitalism without racism. Patriotism is a form of racism.
And now, please stand for the Australian National Anthem.
Oh, United States, it is really fucking great. Oh, United States, it is the best fucking place. Oh, Mitt Romney rules. I am glad he is president of the United States. It is the best fucking place.
This was part 1 and part 2 of System Shift, Redesigning Societal Values. This documentary is a work in progress, but you are welcome to mirror this video to support the social atmosphere movement and promote an open-source society or resource-based economy like the Venus Project describes. The social atmosphere movement is the open-source version of the zeitgeist movement. I'm taking a short break from working on System Shift, and instead I'm going to work on a short, Creative Commons or open source video which promotes the idea of a resource-based economy which is not under the copyright of the zeitgeist movement.
nation without a vision of what the future can be is bound to repeat past errors over and over again. This brief video will outline a vision designed to avoid old mistakes. A vision of efficiency, sustainability, and intelligent planning can lead us into a marvelous new world of unlimited human potential. Designing the future. This vision could be a showcase of what the world can be in our cybernated age. Science and technology could be used for human betterment and the restoration and protection of the environment, serving as an example of the intelligent application of a systems approach. While some people advocate the restoration of existing, worn-out cities, these efforts fall short of the potentials of modern technology. Repairing outmoded cities results in higher costs of operation and maintenance. It is actually less expensive in the long run to build newer cities from the ground up than to restore and maintain old ones. A total city system approach requires overall planning to attain a higher standard of living for all the city's occupants. The circular arrangement efficiently permits the most sophisticated use of available resources and construction techniques with a minimum expenditure of energy. This can make available to all people the most advanced amenities that modern science and technology can provide. It could be the hub and learning center where people from all over the world visit and hopefully emulate this design approach in other parts of the world. Design considerations for these new cities include its overall functioning, its ease of assembly, the reduction of maintenance, efficient transportation, and its simplicity and durability. This will include the flexibility to permit ongoing and later changes. The city would function as an evolving, integrated organism rather than a static structure. This systems approach envisions assembling entire cities by standardizing basic structural elements, which are prefabricated in automated plants and assembled on site. Many of these buildings would be comprised of standard units that can be arranged to meet many different requirements. This approach means that these cities can be extremely cost-efficient because only one sector needs to be designed, which can be duplicated repeatedly for the completion of an entire city as totally integrated city systems anywhere in the world. The outer perimeter will be part of the recreational area with golf courses, hiking and biking trails, and opportunities for water sports. Inside this area, a waterway surrounds an agricultural belt with indoor and outdoor agriculture. Continuing toward the city center, 8 green sectors provide clean, renewable resources of energy using wind, solar, and heat concentrators. Waste recycling and other services are located beneath the city. The plan utilizes the best of clean technology in harmony with the surrounding environment. The residential district features beautiful landscaping with lakes and winding streams, a wide range of creative, innovative apartment buildings, and individual unique homes will provide many options for the occupants. New and innovative methods of fast mass construction for housing and building systems will inject composite materials into a mold and then extrude the form upward. In some cases, multiple city apartments can be produced as continuous extrusions, which are then separated into individual units. Cranes transport these prefabricated dwellings to site locations. They are then lifted and inserted into a support structure. The apartments are lightweight and high strength. All of the dwellings are designed as self-contained residences. The outer surface of these efficient structures serve as photovoltaic generators, converting solar radiation directly into electricity for heating, cooling, and other needs. The thermocouple effect will also be used for generating electricity. The wide range of individual homes are prefabricated and relatively maintenance-free, fire-resistant, and impervious to weather. With this type of construction, there'd be little or no damage from floods, earthquakes, or hurricanes. Their thin shell construction can be mass-produced efficiently and economically. New energy-efficient systems can be installed to supply enough power to operate the entire household. Adjacent to the residential district are planning, science, and research centers. 8 domes surrounding the central dome house art, music, exhibition, entertainment, and conference centers. Lovely parks, lakes, streams, and waterfalls are located throughout the entire city. The Central Dome, or Theme Center, contains schools, healthcare, shopping, communications networking, and childcare. It is also the core for most transportation services, which move people by transveyors horizontally, vertically, and radially anywhere in the city. This minimizes the need for automobile transportation, except for emergency vehicles. Transportation between cities would be by monorail. The Central Dome will eventually house a cybernated complex, which serves as the brain and nervous system of the entire city. It projects a 3D virtual image of Earth using satellite communication systems which display information on weather, agriculture, transportation, and the operation of the whole city. This cybernated system will use environmental sensors to help maintain a balanced load economy, which avoids overruns and shortages. For example, in the agricultural belt, electronic probes monitor and maintain the soil conditions, water table, nutrients, and more. This method of electronic feedback can be applied to the entire city complex. With computers now able to process trillions of bits of information per second, they are vital for arriving at correct decisions for the management of these innovative cities. The architectural structures themselves will be jewels of future possibilities, with a wide variety of exhibition buildings. Many of the displays will depict not what the future will be, but what it can be. Some of the cities may be total enclosure systems, which are self-sufficient. These massive structures would contain residences, parks, recreation, entertainment, healthcare, educational facilities, and more. Everything built in these cities would be as near to a self-contained system as conditions allow. In these total enclosure arrangements, the skyscraper assures that more land is available for parks and wilderness preserves, while at the same time eliminating urban sprawl. Wherever possible, geothermal energy can be harnessed. Geothermal power offers the possibility of an abundant source of clean energy. This source alone could provide enough energy for the next 1,000 years. National transportation systems would include a network of waterways and canals. These bodies of water could minimize the threat of floods and droughts by diverting floodwaters to storage basins. In addition, these canals could supply water for irrigation, fish farms, and recreation. The canals can also be used for desalination using a method of evaporative condensation. In some instances, ships could serve as floating automated plants, capable of processing raw materials into finished products while en route to their destinations. Huge ships and submarines with many removable and interchangeable compartments will carry freight across the oceans. Rather than separate containers, an entire freight section can be automatically disengaged at the port. Bridge designs would be greatly simplified, and bridges can be made corrosion resistant. They would be prefabricated and transported to the site by twin-hulled catamarans. On some bridges, trains could be suspended beneath traffic lanes. Colonization of the oceans is one of the last frontiers remaining on Earth. Prodigious oceanic city communities will evolve as artificial islands, floating structures, undersea observatories, and more. These large marine structures are designed to explore the relatively untapped riches of the oceans and provide improved mariculture, freshwater production, energy, and mining. This could offset land-based shortages. They could also provide almost unlimited riches in pharmaceuticals, chemicals, fertilizers, minerals, oil, and natural gas. Ocean cities would be resistant to earthquakes and greatly relieve land-based population pressures. The population would vary from several hundred to many thousand. Underwater oceanic viewing and research facilities provide expansive panoramic observations of the undersea world in its natural habitat without disturbing the ocean environment. Unsinkable floating sea domes will attract those who prefer unique offshore or island living. In the event of inclement weather, they could easily be towed ashore, mounted and anchored to elevated support structures. Mariculture and sea farming systems are used to cultivate and raise fish and other forms of marine life to help meet nutritional needs. These marine enclosures are designed as non-contaminating integral parts of the ocean environment. If we use science and technology with human and environmental concerns, it could be a vivid future showcase of the human potential when working together to preserve the greatest gift we have, the resources and beauty of our planet Earth. In the final analysis, we are one people and share one planet. If you desire more information on any of the systems seen in this video, visit our website at www.thevenusproject.com.
I wish I could say everything's just peachy. Living life is so easy, but it's not. They got everyone believing that's just the way it is, so there's nothing to be done. And so perpetuate a culture of cutthroat competition. But despite what you might think, we got everything we need to provide for each other. And wouldn't it be nice if no one had to fight just to get a bite to eat? Together we can build a better future for our project. Don't let them pull the wool over your eyes. No doubt there's something wrong with this picture. We draw power from the spirit of the times. Zeitgeist. My generation has the fire of evolution in our veins. All we need is the right catalyst to put some fuel on our flame. Rise out of the ashes to find some hope.
to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
I'm only a child, yet I know we are all in this together and should act as one single world towards one single goal.
We have heard the rationales offered by the superpowers. We know who speaks for the nations. But who speaks for the human species? Who speaks for Earth?
I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality, where our technology allows for life in global abundance, and the choice between contender and incumbent is redundant.
Welcome to this pale blue dot in our galaxy, where we fear the finality of our own mortality, and we worry about our salary and consumption of calories, while famine and war have caused another fatality. We live in a finite world, but our need for growth is infinite. Our relationship with money is so damn intimate. We can't slow down, we want more, oh we're so into it. Intimate, it would be a sin to quit. So now the whole planet's in debt. We owe quite a tall stack, but it's literally impossible to pay it all back, because money is debt created with interest. You listening?
There's actually more money owed than exists in the whole system.
That's a pyramid scheme, not just mean individuals skimming the cream, not just smoke-filled rooms where the supremely powerful convene. It seems a systemic flaw is the theme to this meme. Today's system defines who wins and loses with competitions, and losers are created by definition. Our leaders are ruled by political ambition. Not a single one of them is a trained technician. It would be insane to listen to their claims. I'd rather use the scientific method to arrive at decisions. So pardon my sedition, but I stand by my derision, and I fight against this system with a thought for ammunition.
It's a train of thought, it's a frame of sorts, a campaign where you can't just feign support. The train of thought can't be claimed or bought. It's an idea, there's no one you can blame in court. It's a train of thought, it's not a game or sport. It pertains to humane and sustained support. Like a chain is wrought, it can be trained and taught to anyone with a brain. Let me explain in short.
I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. No political borders, no one giving you orders. It's the wealth worth giving to our sons and daughters. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. Take care of the planet and meet everybody's need. Make the world debt-free, just live and let be.
We can't control nature, we can only try to fit the mold. So instead of growth and jobs, let's set ourselves a new goal. A bold, high standard of living for the planet as a whole, in a sustainable way for every human soul, young and old. Let go of your borders, time to think worldwide. No more democracy and politics, all that's been tried. Instead, we use the scientific method as a guide to arrive at decisions on how technology is applied. And if we want to provide, we can't take a resource and abuse it. We need to keep track of what we have and how fast we use it. Systems theory tells us everything in nature's connected. When we cut down too many trees, the ecosystem is affected. So in production, it makes sense to build everything to last. Planned obsolescence should be a thing of the past. And if we design fast evolving technologies to be modular, we can replace old parts with the new and more popular. To distribute our goods, the shortest distance is preferred. To transfer from there, what we can make here is absurd. Then we evaluate demand for goods and build hubs to receive them. Like a library, we check things out for as long as you need them. All of this is doable with today's technology, as long as we apply the right methodology. Cause scarcity is technically outdated, you follow me? This way we can live in abundance and global equality.
I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality, where technology allows a life in global abundance, and the choice between contender and incumbent is redundant. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. Every kind of transition is about damn time. The planet is shared by all of mankind.
Incentive is the key to understanding volition. We don't act without it, it's behind any decision. There's no human nature to behavior, just predisposition that has to be supported by the surrounding conditions. So the mission is one we should all agree to pick. No police, no prisons, no referee to trick. Build a system with no incentive for harmful behavior, cause if you remove the carrot, you don't need the stick. There would be nothing to gain from trying to mislead, mistreat or deceive. No incentive to thieve, what could you hope to achieve? Anything you need, you can get for free, and it would always be available, so no reason for greed. 10% of the population makes the system run, so instead of working 9 to 5, live your life for fun. Travel the world, raise a family, read a book, build something beautifully useful, or learn to cook. It's this generation's defining challenge, extraordinaire. It's not complicated, just a comprehensive affair. For some it's a big mouthful, for others a breath of fresh air. Don't be scared, cause it can be done, don't despair. Educate yourself on how the current system's impaired, but please do more than just make other people aware. When it comes down to it, we have two things to declare. One, we all care, and two, we all share.
That train of thought, it's a frame of sorts, a campaign where you can't just feign support. The train of thought can't be claimed or bought. It's an idea, there's no one you can blame in court. It's a train of thought, it's not a game or sport. It pertains to humane and sustained support. Like a chain is wrought, it can't be trained and taught to anyone with a brain. Let me explain in short.
I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. No political borders, no one giving you orders. It's a wealth worth giving to our sons and daughters. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. Take care of the planet and meet everybody's need. Make the world debt-free, just live and let be. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. Where technology allows a life in global abundance, and the choice between contender and incumbent is redundant. I'm talking about the resource-based economy, the scientific method for social equality. Because the transition is about damn time. The planet is shared by all of mankind.
You see, the real value of a conflict, the true value, is in the debt that it creates. You control the debt, you control everything. You find this upsetting, yes? But this is the very essence of the banking industry. To make us all, whether we be nations or individuals, slaves to debt.
You can call me money, but you can't escape from me. I take grace hatefully, enslave and make it fuck for me. And luckily, the species ain't seen my diseases. I'm blooding the streets with bodies that keep slacking me. You casually spin me as I deprive freedom and lives. As I push your future aside, you're divided, can't ask why. Your progress is nonsense, it's swamped with obsolescence in seconds. I take your best shit and wreck it. While you stress and caress me, I poison your cities. Left you degraded and clueless, disgracefully stupid, neurologically damaged, empathically savage, with habits as hazardous as Halliburton's habit. You can't avoid my madness as I ravage the planet. For useless consumerism, I'm abusing your system of associative thought patterns to eradicate plates of earth before you vacate the space for permanent work.
The money, copyrights, and surrender resources. Your cultural and spiritual distinctiveness will be consumerized into our own. Resistance is futile, you will be consumerized. You will be consumerized.
I've globalized wasting, Earth's a wasting. A third of the food made just gets thrown away. Like the third of humans that waste away hungrily, and other poverty that permanently follows y'all to veritably swallow y'all like a fat lady eating Mickey D's. You can teach people about me, but I cheat more frequently. You worship me and believe I promise you'll be prosperous, but I'm twice the fraudulent as posthumous life insurance. Completely deadly, psychopath on the warpath, wreaking suffering discreetly, pimping scarcity, no peace treaty can buffer me, and suddenly it's a race to extinction thanks to me, the demon. So get your face in position, embrace free emissions. Since you embrace my religion, I'll Jim Jones your resistance. So long as your justice stays the split of resistance. Dithering for little shit, ignorant of my malevolence.
Resistance is futile. You will be consumerized. money, copyrights, and surrender your resources. Your cultural and spiritual distinctiveness will be consumerized into our own. Resistance is futile. You will be consumerized.
Sasha, and I'd like to tell you about my home, Prison Earth. Prison Earth is a fairly large place. It has hundreds of different prison cells and billions of prisoners. Some of the prison cells are pretty large, some are much smaller. Some are fairly nice, others are horrible. I was born in jail cell R, which isn't the worst cell in the prison, but many would argue that it's not the best one either. Back in the 90s, when I was growing up, Cell R was actually considered to be a pretty dangerous place. Because of that, my father worked hard to move my family and me to Cell U, which was considered to be a much better cell at the time. But it wasn't easy to make the move from Cell R to Cell U, or to go anywhere, in fact. You can't just move freely from one prison cell to another. All prison cells have very strict rules about who can enter and exit each cell and for how long. The walls between each prison cell are strictly patrolled by guards, and it's almost impossible to leave your own cell without granted permission. To be granted permission to leave your cell, you first need to get a small booklet that has your details written on it. It has your name, your date of birth, your inmate number, where you were born, and some other information. Most prisoners can leave their cells by showing this booklet to the guards, but some cannot. For most prisoners, getting out of their own jail cell is the easy part though. The hard part is entering into a new cell. You see, there is no free or common area in the prison. The entire prison is strictly divided into jail cells, and each cell has its own rules that you have to follow. The booklet that I told you about dictates which cells you can enter and for how long. Since some jail cells are better than others, this means that some prisoners are more privileged than others. In some jail cells, people slave for livable wages and have access to healthcare and education. In other cells, a lot of people suffer. They slave in awful conditions and barely earn enough to eat. If you're born in a good jail cell, like the ones in Area E or Area A, you might be quite lucky. Not only because you'll have access to healthcare and some good services, but also because you can leave your jail cell and temporarily enter many other cells just by showing your booklet to the guards. But if you're born in one of the bad prison cells, you're quite unlucky because it will be very difficult for you to leave or to improve that cell. Most likely, you'll be very poor, and the prison guards won't let you into the good cells without additional special permission. To get additional special permission, it can be very difficult. Not only do you need to show the guards your booklet, but you also need to show them a special stamp called a visa that you can only get from the authorities. To get this stamp, you either have to have a lot of money or you have to sign into a contract to be a devoted slave for a company in the good jail cell. But that will only happen if you're very skilled. Sometimes you can also perform a ritual called marriage with someone from that jail cell. Once you have the documents and the stamp, the guards can still refuse you entry into their cell if they feel like it. And if you're poor, there's a good chance that you'll get denied. The funny part is that most prisoners don't even realize that they're locked up. Most prisoners don't even try to go into a neighboring cell for longer than they're allowed to. Most don't question the guards or the other prisoners. They just do what they've always done. They work. They slave their lives away in their designated jail cells. And they only take vacations when they're allowed, only for as long as they're allowed. They might be numb to this prison. They might be quietly existing, working in the system, perhaps drinking, smoking, or taking pills to cope with the lack of meaning in their imprisoned existence. But I hope you're not like that. I hope you question and take a step outside, at least with your own mind.
I am zeitgeist. No money, no war, no crime. No money, no war, no crime. No money, no war, no crime. I am zeitgeist. I am zeitgeist. No money, no war, no crime. I am zeitgeist.